But let me ask you right from the outset, what does prosperity mean to you?
I have no idea. The cool thing is, if I think about it, I'll be able to tell you what my head thinks prosperity is. But if I notice in the moment, where's the richness in life? The richness in life right now for me is I have developed a lifestyle. You have a lifestyle where you and I can go, hey, let's hook up, have a chinwag, and bless the world. So in this moment, we have freedom of time, we've got freedom of experience, and we've got freedom to share the richness that we are. So what's prosperity in this moment? In this moment, my experience of prosperity is having that freedom to give, that freedom to share, and that freedom to simply sit down with someone who I hope that becomes a long-term old friend, not just a new friend. So that's what I got.
That's terrific. A lot of people I see on your in your groups and in your videos where people respond to you with emails and letters and questions. It is a lot focused on money. People are hooked on prosperity, meaning money. Are they wrong?
And I'll tell you what prosperity means again in a different way, right? Since you brought it up this way, money is speed. Yeah, what we really want is speed. Speed of being able to say yes, speed of it being able to say no, speed of being able to do anything. And when I think about where did money come from? Money came from because when you and I first met, you were overseas. And at some point you did manifestingmasterycourse.com. And if we didn't have this thing called money, the conversation would have gone, hey, 20, I want to do your course. All right, Mike, what are we going to trade? Oh, you've got a goat. That's wonderful. Well, how are you going to get it from where you are to me? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll trade it to another guy for some apples. And then sooner or later, I'll get something that I want. And without money, trade was slow. With money came into existence because we discovered speed is good. Speed is nice. How fast do you share a smile with your daughter? How fast do you share a smile with your wife? Why do people argue? They think it's about money. But this is all coming down to money is speed. We just get to explore how can I, in lesson 34 out of the prosperity pack that you mentioned, that's the one where Neville talks about the boundless forest. If you must spend money, spend it as though it were a dry leaf and you the owner of a boundless forest. What if you've lived your whole life like that, letting your yes be yes, letting your no be no, letting your love be lovely, no editing, just letting it move. Movement is economy. If everybody hoards or hides their money, there's no economy. Movement is economy. And that's with money, and that's with anything.
I read that it wasn't always this way for you, and that in your past, you, like many of us, probably most of us, who pursue what we think is wealth for the reasons that we think we want wealth, money specifically, money, the stuff that pays bills, the stuff that we buy our groceries with, money, that you used to read the How to Get Rich, How to Get Money books.
Absolutely.
You write about that in a post, could you expand on that experience, please?
I grew up, I was poor. My mom and dad split up when I was a kiddo. I grew up on welfare in the U.S., which basically means, like, for some reason, the family split up, can't work, needs money, that kind of thing. We got food stamps, all that stuff. And of course, I wanted more. I wanted something different. I wanted to be able to, have cool clothing and stuff like that. So I took newspapers. I read Think and Grow Rich. I was ashamed to do that stuff, by the way, because I thought only poor people read stuff about how to make money. And then I discovered the wealthiest man in town, old Edwin. He was by far the richest man in town. And I rolled up on him one day and he's reading the same book. And I discovered then it's not just about money. Money's a byproduct. Money is speed. But Edwin was an old, slow fella. Edwin just sat around and tended his garden, and he had a little greenhouse. But I realized now, being able to take Edwin his newspaper, being able to share a cup of tea with him once in a while, that exposed me to that whole thing of there's a richness here. A lot of people say Edwin's the wealthiest guy in town, but he was also probably one of the richest because he owned his life, he owned his time, and he cared.
I read that just this morning, the story that you're sharing about your friend Edwin, and I'm going to share the link to that post of yours in the show notes so that our viewers and listeners can drop down into the show notes and see some more about that. And there's also some information about one of your courses, which is the Prosperity Pack. It's the Neville Goddard Prosperity Pack. I think you would refer to it as the Prosperity Pack. What is our listener who goes to that link and clicks on the link about the Prosperity Pack and invests in it? Oh, I'm going to come back to that word invest because that's a very important word in the vernacular of Mr. 2020 and wife Victoria. Invest as opposed to buy or spend.
Yes.
What is our viewer going to expect to experience when they invest in the Mr. 2020 Prosperity Pack?
I would suggest they're going to be challenged because what we've done so far has got us to where we are. And you get to explore something different to get to someplace different. It sounds so elementary, but it is. I'm going to tell you a little secret. So right here, I have my original copy. I put it together. I had Staples or Office Works, whatever we call it in this country, printed out. You can't see it. What a bugger. But I actually have this printed out. It's got a coffee stain on it. It's got scribbled notes inside because I took the time to print it. And the reason I mention this is a lot of people buy a lot of courses. And way back at the beginning of this version of my internet experience, I decided I would not be the guy who has people buy courses and not use them. So when people get this, I always tell them, hey, Mike, print this out. If you can, get your local office store to bind it like a book. Because if you do that, you might actually read it. You might actually underline it. You might actually make it yours so that it starts to fall apart. I had to tape mine together again and glue it together. And the reason I mention all this is the more real, the more rich. The pack has recordings in it and a PDF. You can listen to them. You can print it out and scribble things. But the biggest part with the little lessons inside is that they're little. So you do them. I tell you to print them so that you'll make them yours by scribbling notes inside. And that's the big thing because we can input all day. We can listen to, I love podcasting. I'm like you. I've got like 2.7 million listens right now. Just had 7,000 listens yesterday, all-time record, right? That thrills me because people are listening. What really thrills me are the handfuls of emails here and there that come in every day. Hey, I just listened to this episode. I love what you do. I think you're a moron. I don't care. As soon as there's dialogue, now there's difference. And that's the thing that I love about a pack like this. If you actually do something with it, if you do the attitude money exercise, if you explore you with it, your life has to change. If you just buy it, hey, I made some money. I want you to change. I want you to change to the point where you got to come here and give me a visit. That's the whole thing. To me, this is about finding family, richness of experience, sharing what life is all about.
Unashamedly, I want the viewer or the listener to tap into Mr. 2020's work. I want you, talking again, 20, just directly to our listener, to our viewer, I want you to know what I've been able to know since studying how 2020 teaches the law of attraction, manifestation, whatever terminology you want to put to it, how Neville Goddard used to teach. Hook into 20's teachings and watch what happens. Now, back to this word, invest. You say, 20, that you and Victoria, your wife, you don't buy, you invest in your life. What's the difference between thinking about buying and spending and thinking about investing?
You know, boy, there are so many ways to look at that. So today I'm going to go buy fish for lunch. And Victoria is making this asparagus meal. It's with eggs and cheese and stuff. Souffle, is that what that's called? I have no idea. But it's really yummy. But I'm going to go buy fish today. And I'm buying fresh fish. I'm buying ocean fish. And I don't care the cost. And here's what I mean. One of the things I notice is when people spend money, there almost seems to almost always be something with scarcity that shows up. This fish is at $2 cheaper than that fish. That other place has it for less of a price. Whatever. There's something weird that goes on. All I know is my desires are divine in origin. I want to feel a certain way. I want to experience a certain meal today. And so I've already decided what the fish is and where I'm getting it, and I don't care about the price. Whenever you spend money, you tend to spend it on commodities. And so then the price of petrol matters. The price of milk matters for most people because that's a commodity. That's something where people tend to buy by price. On the other hand, quality of life. I'm not concerned with how much fish I buy or how much it costs. I'm more interested in what's the richness of experience while I'm eating it, while I'm digesting it, while my body takes it in and uses it for what my body uses it for. And for me, that's the big thing with investing. What's my experience going to be? I'm going to run with feeling it real since you brought it up. When Neville Goddard taught to experience a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled, my definition of scene at this point is a scene is how you experience what you experience. And so when I imagine it's 5:00 in the afternoon and I am highly energized, highly focused, finishing my work day after having taken a nap after lunch, yada, 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 how do I feel? And whenever I nail that experience, how I experience what I experience at 5:00, that's when I feel like, oh, the fish was so good. It's not cheap shit fish. It's the fish that I desire today that I get. And that to me is that whole thing. You invest for experience. You spend because it's a commodity. Yeah, you got to buy petrol for your car. And what I do is I take that spending even with the petrol, and I've got an old BMW. I love it. I call it the dog park mobile, but I still enjoy my car. So I could spend money on petrol, or I could do what my friend Vince told me years ago: always buy the premium. Always buy the premium petrol for the BMWs run better on that. So I always buy the premium. So even if I have to spend money, I notice how can I have a better experience? I'm going to love my car. Complicated answer in a way, but that's what I got.
No, not at all. And when our viewer or listener has a chance to replay and listen to you again, they'll hear the wisdom in that. Because I want to bring something else in here. On one of your Facebook groups, of which I'm a member, you post almost daily one of these beautiful lunches that you've just described.
Every day.
Now, you do that for a reason and as a metaphor, which links into part of your answer, isn't it? Or yeah,
totally, absolutely.
Yeah,
there's a few things I want people to get. I'm a real guy, so you'll never see me do an ad, a paid advertisement where I've got my 3 swimming pools and my 4 wives and my 6 Bentleys and all that crap. I want people to see I'm a real guy, just like you. I want people to see this is my richness of lunch with my wife. When I met her, she worked a job. When I met her, I started building this kingdom here. Now we both work from home, and it's really not work, it's play.
Yeah.
But we both get to share lunch every day, a yummy lunch that our food is an investment. It always is. And it's that thing, once you decide I am an investor, you'll find yourself investing everywhere in life. And you'll find yourself not worrying about how much do I have to spend.
Here's something else that now comes to mind. I'm arcing back a little bit to our viewer and our listener who is reading a How to Make Money book, or they've bought a How to Make Money course, or they're doing something on this mindset of I want to get rich, which implies they're not prosperous and rich.
They're not already. Yep.
You refer to it as anti-prosperity. I think that's how you refer to it. So can you just expand on what you meant when you wrote that blog post about anti-prosperity?
Wow. Anti-prosperity has you thinking, how can I live within my means? So if I make $100 a week, $100 a day, $100, whatever it is, let's say you have $100 coming in, and you start thinking in terms of how can I spend less than that? And suddenly you start thinking in terms of what can I settle for? And as soon as you start going for what can I settle for, life just becomes a struggle. On the other hand, with prosperity, you get to divorce time from money. So you get to discover money is speed. And I one of the examples I use is if you take 7 hours and you write an ebook and you sell it for $7 and you sell one copy, you made $1 an hour. If you sell 2 copies, you made $2 an hour. When you get up to 10,000 sales, that's a lot of dollars per hour. That's $10,000 an hour. And the average person goes, well, there's nothing that I could write about. I bet there is. And that's the beauty of things, because anti-prosperity has you going, what are my means? How can I live within my means? And it takes the attention off of you. As far as I can tell, almost everybody I talk to, they've got some song, some music, some message, some dance. They've got something in them that they want to express, that they want to share, that they want to explore. And they don't do it because they don't have the money or the time, and they shut down. Versus here you and I are sharing a dance, your message, my message, your media, my media. It's my quote unquote intention with this is, once you put it up, I'll blast it out to my people, because I want my people to find you. And this is how everybody wins, because your message is different than my message. They overlap, but your message and my message are different. Your magic and my magic are different, but we complement each other, which means we appreciate each other, which means we both just, our dance together has this increase in value. It's so dynamic, but it doesn't happen if we're trying to live within our means. Versus, rightio, I'm going to start letting it shine and see where it goes. I'm going to fan this little coal into a flame that warms everyone.
See, the language, the vernacular is simple and easy to listen to and easy to understand, but the wisdom and the depth of wisdom and the profundity in what you say and what you express when you teach and write is such. I can't help, it must sound like it's a paid commercial when I say I want people to delve into Mr. 2020's work. But this is a podcast. This is not a paid commercial. I'm just an absolute fan of your work, 20, as you know, and I want more people to delve deeper. And I know that there'll be people listening who know of your work. They read your posts. They might have even bought one of your, or invested in one of your courses, but they haven't really dived deep. And that's what I want people to think again about. Am I really diving deep into this stuff? So here's just a question before we wind up a little bit, 20. The person who, now this is linked in with Feel It Real and the experience of prosperity, but there's something that you talk about that Neville Goddard teaches, which is to deny the senses. Or how's it expressed again? To deny what's happening in the physical world or something?
I love the particulars here. We deny the evidence of the senses.
That's it.
Now, what's cool with that, when we deny the evidence of the senses, that doesn't mean you walk out in front of a bus. Abdullah, Neville's teacher, told him to walk as though he were in Barbados whenever he was in New York City. Neville didn't walk out in front of a bus. We know this because Neville continued to live. Now, here's what's cool. I don't deny the senses. I do deny the evidence of the senses. Because if I sit down and I see whatever I see, or I hear whatever I hear, that's what I see and what I hear. But like a judge, I get to go, that's not evidence. That's echo. Echo always follows. So no matter what's happening in the physical, I don't care. Because I will either use that, like the streetcar system, I'll use that to amp things up, or I'll just go, rightio, that's what I imagined before. Of course, that's what's showing up there. But it's not evidence. I'm evidence. The state that I'm in is evidence. And that's what produces the results.
The person who has a bill, like, for example, an electricity bill here in the right, and they don't have the funds to pay it, and it's overdue. So the evidence that the senses are experiencing is, I've got the bill, the overdue notice has come, and I don't have the money to pay it. And I just do think about the person in that situation. How do they persist with the concept and get past that and not get sucked into the vortex of, this is all bullshit?
So back in my old experience, the bills would end up on the fridge. So you could feel like shit whenever you went to get something to eat. And they all had SON on them. SON was shut off notice, right? Not a fun place to be.
Mm.
So I started noticing. Let me ask you a question. If I could teach you how to get a 10% return on your investment every 3 months, would you do it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you would. It's called your electric bill. Just paid mine yesterday. So we got our bill from Red Energy. I opened it up, and it's like $1,000. Why? Because it's $1,000. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to fret about it. I'm not going to figure out what light bulb can I turn off or whatever. I've got $1,000 electric bill. I could show it to you, but it's not handy anymore. Because here's what happens. Halfway down the electric bill on the right-hand side is a little box that says "Pay now for a 10% discount." That's $100. I'll take that money. That's an investment. And so what I started doing years ago was imagining paying the bills early so I get that investment back. It's a tax-free 10%. Not bad, right?
Yeah.
And that's the fun thing, because if you're getting shut off notices now, just look at that bill and imagine paying it, and with the attitude of, I just put $100 in my pocket. That's a lot of fish. That's a yummy, yummy steak.
I love it.
There's the fun.
Yeah, that's the fun. The dance is the dance. The music is about to stop here, 20, and the dance is about to end because, as I always say, time flies when you're having fun. And I've enjoyed this little chat with you, 20, once again. I'm going to include the links, 20, in the show notes so that our viewer and our listener can click through and experience what I've experienced and what I do experience, and some of which you mentioned about the story of your friend Edwin and anti-prosperity and what that means. And then on the same page of it's a Facebook. No, it's not. It's a web page post. There will be a link, because I know there's a link there. So if somebody, if the viewer or the listener chooses to invest in the Prosperity Pack, what's the price of it, by the way? Let's talk about price.
It is still $47. I'm too lazy to change it.
$47 for the Prosperity Pack sounds like a very, very good investment to me. 20, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your profundity and your metaphors and everything else, and your fun and your smile and your hat and the whole lot. And I hope you and I know you and Victoria there and your dogs are going to love your lunch today, and I look forward to seeing the picture of it. And when I see it today on Facebook, I'll think back to this little conversation we've had this morning, our time.
Beauty, Mike. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.